Hi, everybody, and welcome into a special edition of Boston Sports Live here on a Sunday evening on the eve of the NHL trade deadline. I told you we'd be up at 4:30. We're about 10 minutes late because I suck and my technology sucks. But someone who doesn't suck, nor his technology, is Pete Blackburn. He covers hockey for CBS Sports, and he joins us now on the program. Again, treat this like a talk radio show. You get to join us by hitting the on-air button, or is it the fan line? I'm sorry, it's the fan line in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Hit the fan line in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And you get to join us on video as you would a talk radio show. Of course, big day today for the Boston Bruins, trading for Rick Nash and signing Brian Gionta. Pete, how should Bruins fans feel about today?
Pretty good, I think. I mean, certainly more so for the Nash deal than the Gionta deal, but I like the price. I like it's obviously one of the better guys on the market, and they paid a fair price, so I like the deal.
Okay, so tell me about the price. Tell me about the defenseman that they gave up.
Lindgren's pretty good. He's I think that he's got a good shot to be a top six guy, top four guy on defense. So I think that he can be good, but they also have a log jam of defensive prospects. So you gotta trade him or move him at some point. And if you go out and get one of the better guys on the market, it's fine.
Okay, so again, I have a hard time. Let's narrow that down a little bit. If Lindgren's a good prospect, is that a first and a good D-man, a good D prospect for a rental for a guy in Rick Nash who sometimes is the elite power forward and sometimes has the dog in him? So again, a first-round pick and a D-man where in a spot, Pete,
but Bruins it's a late first-round pick. It's they're going to finish towards the top of the league. It's going to be a late first round pick. And also you have to think the Bolesky part of that deal is huge. They get that money off their hands.
Okay. So they're taking the Rick Nash money. I'm not worried about the money. This is what I would be worried about, Pete. First round pick and a defenseman prospect in a position you're thin. Again, left side D, you're thin there. A first round pick and that prospect for a rental for a guy who I don't know what we're going to get. Half the time I consider Rick Nash or see Rick Nash or hear about Rick Nash, it's people complaining about how come he's not being like Rick Nash? Why is he, where's the power in the power forward? Where's the impact? Where's the elite status? That's half the time I hear about Rick Nash. That's what I'm hearing about. So he better play well and they better go deep or it's too much.
I mean, it's a gamble for sure, but I think it's a smart gamble. You put him alongside Krejci, and we've seen in the past that Krejci does well with guys who are willing to get dirty and have size. And I think a line with DeBrusk, Krejci, and Nash is a go get him, get dirty line, and I like that.
Okay,
and I wouldn't say that giving up Lindgren is kind of depletes their defensive line. I mean, he wasn't going to be here for a few years anyway. They still have Zaboral, they still have Lozon. I mean, it's guys that they should be fine there.
Okay, tell me what kind of Rick Nash we're going to get. What has he been the last couple of years?
Streaky. I mean, he's streaky, but when he's on and when he's once it clicks for him, he's a big guy. He's got a good scoring touch. He's an upgrade over Spooner. And Spooner was basically a rental here anyway. He's an RFA at the end of the year. They probably weren't going to keep him. It's an upgrade with Nash there instead of Spooner.
Again, Pete Blackburn here from CBS Sports. We'll get to your calls here in a second. Just hit the fan line in the upper right-hand corner of your screen and you can join us. I'm just picking it apart to start with, Pete, as I like to do, talk concerns with the deal. I also wonder, the Bruins talked a lot about chemistry in this last week, right? And, when you heard Don Sweeney and Cam Neely and these guys last week talk about it, we got a good thing going. You don't want to disrupt chemistry. And then they go and trade for a guy who's going to walk into the room as the highest paid player on the team, a former first overall pick who's got a little bit of the dog in him and is coming into a situation where now expectations are high. What happened to chemistry? What happened to DNA? Isn't that an issue as it relates to those things?
Yeah, but I don't know if taking Ryan Spooner out of the room ruins the team's chemistry. I mean, Spooner, his minutes were diminishing anyway over the past handful of games. And I think, chemistry comes with winning. And everybody's going to be happy in that room if they're winning. And I think Rick Nash gives you a better chance of winning down the stretch than Ryan Spooner does.
Okay, so that's where I would start. If I want to feel good about the deal, that's where I start. Their ceiling this year, Pete, is unquestionably higher because if Rick Nash has his head screwed on straight and is the Rick Nash of like the Olympic years and his 40-goal year a couple years ago, if that's the Rick Nash the Bruins are getting, then they are much better with Rick Nash on the right side of David Krejci than Ryan Spooner. Not even close, not even debatable. So their ceiling is higher, and that's why you got to like it. I think it also just sort of signals, I think, good for the Bruins that they had this kind of year out of nowhere where I don't know if many people were expecting it. They're in a position now to make a run, and they're not just sort of sitting idle because they could just sit idle and have an
they could say we're ahead of schedule, we're fine with what we are. But I mean, you look at the league and you look at how things can turn so quickly for a lot of these teams in the league. I mean, you look at the Blackhawks. Obviously, they had an extended run, but things can turn around pretty quickly. If you're in a position where you've got a chance to contend and you're looking at the latter half of the season and you're saying, okay, we have a good shot at this, you make a play. And they have the prospects, they have the assets to make one of those moves and still be in good shape. And they went out and did it. And I give them credit for that. And I mean, when you look at the big picture here, they got Nash, Holden, and Gianta basically as upgrades for Spooner, O'Gara, and Vetrano. And it only cost them Lindgren and a first-round pick. Are you fine with that? Because I'm totally fine with that.
Well, no. I mean, when you say only, see, that's the only part I'm not going to treat it like that's no give. They gave up a first-round pick and that Lindgren kid was drafted in the second round, and he's projecting well. So, like, you're acting like that's no give. Like they gave something.
You got to give. You got to give to get. I mean, the prices are always higher at the deadline. I think this is fine. I think that's a fair price to upgrade at 3 positions and get money, dead money off your books. I like it. It's fine. I mean, you look at Bolesky, his money possibly straps them from keeping one of the guys that's in the system right now that's going to need to get paid in a couple of years. I love that aspect of the deal.
Okay. I mean, who wouldn't? And again, I'll get to you guys in just a second. Again, hit that fan line in the upper right-hand corner if you want to join us. Of course, Bolesky's money off the books, great. And Spooner, I don't shed one tear for Ryan Spooner. I could care less about Ryan Spooner. That's not the issue. The issue is that defenseman prospect and a first-round pick for a rental for a guy who half the time doesn't show up. That's the issue. And if he doesn't show up, or if they don't win a couple rounds, then it's an overpay, Pete. That's an overpay if you don't go deep. I'm sorry.
Sure, but I mean, you could say that about any deal ever. If he doesn't show up and if he doesn't play and they lose early, then the deal stinks. You can say that about any deal, but they're taking a chance here, and I think it's a smart chance.
We also take questions from the comment section where I see John Sawyer says he's concerned with Nash's speed and his notorious slacking off. Tell me about his speed. When he is engaged, can he still move?
Yeah, I mean, he's up there. Obviously, he's not as quick as he used to be, but I mean, he's on a line with DeBrusk and Krejci. I mean, that's a line that presumably that's a line that he's going to be playing with. But I mean, that's a methodical line. They're not going to blaze by you. But for me, he's a good ad because he plays tough, and I think you can make the argument that he slacks off or whatever in the questionable effort, but he's got the latter half of the year to prove that he's worth his money in the offseason. So I don't think effort should be an issue. Okay,
but that's another thing. People say that he's playing for a contract. Pete, he's already signed his contract. He's not going to make a bid. He's already made his deal. He's already made his money. He comes in as the highest paid guy on the team. He's not going to get another contract like that, and he knows it. So like this. Yeah, I just think that's a cliche to say he's playing for a contract. He's coming off his contract. He's never getting another one like that.
Yeah, maybe not, but he can get more money in the offseason. I mean, he's still playing for his next contract.
Not really. I mean, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
I am listening to what you're saying, but it doesn't really make much sense to me. He's playing for another paycheck.
He's paying for, well, of course, but he's not playing for that big kick at the free agent can. He's coming off of that, and he's never going to get that again. And so,
sure, but no money is enough money for anybody.
I'm telling you, here's what I think. No matter what he does this playoff year, I think his value is pretty much set. I think he's going to get what he's going to get in the offseason, whether he does nothing or they go to the Cup Finals. Really, I think it's roughly the same.
Bruins fans should know better than anybody that if you have a good playoffs, can get you more money than you deserve. Looking at Matt Bolesky here.
Okay, again, younger player. Again, coming into his first big free agent year. That's different. That's the difference. Real quick.
Teams will pay no matter how old you are.
How about left shot playing the right wing? That's what he is. That's not an issue.
No, it'll be fine.
Okay. Pete, so Pete, you're an Islanders fan, not a Bruins fan?
No, I'm a Bruins fan. I love this. I love the Islanders logo.
Okay, that fisherman thing is horrible. It's one of the worst logos in the history of sports.
It's
But you sound like a Bruins fan. You sound like a Bruins fan. Patrick also wants to know: was today's activity the end of the Bruins deadline moves, or do they still have hope for McDonough?
No, I think that's probably going to do it. I would imagine so, unless they come down on McDonough. I don't see them making two huge splashes. And if you want to talk about being iffy on the price of Nash, it's going to cost you a lot more for McDonough.
There's no question on that. I also think McDonough I like more from an age standpoint, and from, again, this is their word. They pump the chemistry thing down my throat. So, I'm going to use it against them now, Pete. If they're going to tell me about chemistry, I think McDonough makes, from a chemistry standpoint, I don't worry about him. Nash, that's a wild card, man. Again, he walks in with the big swinging dick, as they like to say, with the big contract and the big reputation, first overall pick, all of that. That's going to be, so McDonough to me feels like a safer play, but also it's going to be a bigger give.
And he's not a rental either. You're paying for that extra control.
Okay, again, we've got a question that asks, Jonathan wants to know, what would be Nash's cost if the Bruins were to retain him after the season? I'm telling you,
it's not going to happen.
So why do you say that?
They don't have the money to give to Rick Nash beyond this year. I mean, you got to look at the guys that they got to pay moving forward. You want to keep Rick Nash over those guys? Probably not. Plus, we've seen what this team is without Rick Nash, and it's still pretty good.
Okay, I would tend to agree with you on that. Andrew David says, I think this is Lucic 2.0, except for less fight. Your response there?
I mean, I guess that's fine. I mean, that's what they're hoping. They're trying to recreate the magic that they had with that Krejci line, as far as Lucic and Horton. So I think that's kind of an easy, lazy comparison to make, but they're different players. But I think that it's sort of accurate.
So my question there, I mean, I just wonder if Andrew David was saying that as a good thing or a bad thing. I say, here comes Milan Lucic. I'm like, I don't know if I want that. But
it is also, Lucic was streaky as well, obviously. And I think that, Nash has that tendency as well. So it would be a good thing and a bad thing.
Size-wise, Pete, I think what's important is I think Krejci has shown he's been at his best when he's got someone physical next to him, and whether that's Lucic or it's Horton or even Jerome McGinley or one of these guys. I think when there's someone else creating room out there for Krejci to have some space to create and do what he does, I think that has always proven to be the best fit with him versus, say, a speed guy like Pastrnak. I think Krejci plays at a certain pace, and a bigger physical guy makes sense. So, from that standpoint, it's a perfect fit. Nash is, a left shot playing on the right wing. So I don't know if that's a natural fit. Look, it's hard not to like the approach there of the team. And again, the ceiling is there. It's just, don't pretend like they aren't giving anything away.
I'm not pretending not pretending that they aren't giving anything away. I'm saying that what they gave away is a fair price to add a guy right now.
Let's grab Tommy and Braintree, our friend here. He's a good, you do your show with DJ Beaner, you used to, right, Pete?
Still do, yeah.
Okay, see, that's an internet thing. I'm just not, other than this fan cred, I don't know what goes on the internet, so I'm not aware of your stuff. I think Tommy and Braintree is one of your chronics. Tommy, what do you got for us?
What's going on, guys? Hey, Pete, big brunch guy over here.
What's going on?
Not much. Rick Nash has 18 goals on the season. Bruins have like 22 games left in the season. Think he's good for 10 goals possibly? He's shooting at a currently worse career shooting percentage. Think he's got 10 goals in him?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, he's going to get his shots. He's going to get, he's probably going to get power play burn. I mean, what I like about this deal is that he's really good at 5-on-5. They get a 5-on-5 boost from him. I think 15 out of his 18 goals this year come at 5-on-5. So I don't see why he couldn't get 10 more down the stretch.
Tommy, do you have him on your fantasy team or something? Who gives a crap how many goals he scores in the regular season? They got to win playoff rounds.
I'm just curious. I'm just looking at it. How many goals is he actually going to be able to be put up? I don't know.
I don't care if he's I don't care if he scores 2 or 17. They gotta get past the Leafs now.
I think
You
Yager
can't make
only
this kind of
scored
trade
2 in
and lose in the first
2013.
round.
It didn't work out that well. I hope he scores more than 2.
Well, to me, again, Tommy, thanks for checking in. We appreciate it. To me, it's not about the number of goals. It's does he contribute to them advancing? Pete, that's it. Now,
well, that's scoring
this team's
goals.
gotta-
He's got to score goals to help him advance. Plain and
Yeah,
simple.
well, right in the playoffs. I don't care what his regular season tally is. I mean, I want him to look good right off the hop, like if I'm the Bruins, of course. But this is about. I'm telling you again, if they're one and done, that's a disaster after a trade like this. It is. You know, I mean, people act. You're acting like they're fine in the system. They got this. This reservoir of talent. There are no guarantees. You can't just be giving away first round picks and promising young defensemen and then go one and done. That's a fail. They got to win.
Okay,
rounds.
but if they went one and done and they didn't make this move, everybody would turn around and say, well, why didn't they go out and get Rick Nash? Why didn't they give up a first round pick and go get Rick Nash? They would have advanced. They're taking the chance and they're gambling. And again, it's a smart play.
Okay, let's grab Tim in Marblehead. He's up next on a special extra edition here of Boston Sports Live. It's Mike Felger. It's Pete Blackburn. He writes for CBS Sports, and he does an internet show with DJ Bean that you kids probably know about. I don't really, but this is Tim in Marblehead. Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to ask, Mike, you love asking this question. How far do they, have to go before we can crucify them for the trade? Like what constitutes a success now?
So let me tell you, just they got to win the first round. I don't care.
They got to make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, so let's just say this. To be fair, look, I'll be the first to rip them. If the second round matchup is Tampa, and let's say Tampa gets McDonough, or Tampa, Tampa's better than you.
Yeah.
So if they showed well against Tampa in the second round and took them deep, maybe I wouldn't rip them. I mean, I'll just leave that caveat there. But they have to get past Toronto now. I mean, that's a no brainer.
If they don't make the Eastern Conference Final, then they're gonna get ripped for it. it's plain and simple. It's gonna happen.
Tim, thanks for checking in. We appreciate it. And this is the thing I do like the most about it. I mean, who would have thought they would have been in this position when they started the year, right? I mean, like what wasn't the top expectation to just be a bottom Eastern Conference playoff team?
I thought they were going to be a bubble team just like the past few years. They're completely ahead of schedule. The young guys look good, and they look set, which is more than you could ask for. And they're going out and buying. They're being aggressive, and I like it.
When you say they look set, what do you mean they look set?
As far as the pipeline, they got kids in the pipeline. They're going to slot in. Obviously, not guarantees of those kids, but I mean, from everything that we've seen this year in terms of those guys that have come up this year, they're hitting on those guys. So, there's promise.
So, I mean, obviously there is. I don't treat it like an automatic, like you seem to, but again, you never thought they'd be in this position this year where they've had this kind of regular season and then they get to the deadline. And, as we mentioned earlier, and you said, they had every excuse in the world to stand pat, to say, our program here is drafting and developing, and this is what we've been doing, and it's been working for us, so we're going to stick with that. We don't want to give up young assets and upset the program that we're on. And instead, they said something else. They said, we're here. Maybe there's not many chances that you get here. Maybe there's a clock ticking there, Pete, with Zdeno Chara, saying, how many more years are we going to get like this from the 40-year-old Zdeno Chara? And they said, you know what? You're here. You owe it to the team to go for it. And you sort of have to like that attitude. And as a Bruins fan, you got to be excited by that because it means they believe that they're right there.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time that you were excited about a Bruins team and moves that they're making mid-season? It's been a while. And, you also got to consider the fact that going out and getting Rick Nash takes Rick Nash away from a possible Eastern Conference team that you're going to face in the playoffs.
Okay, Mike Beers writes in from the comment section, would have liked to see them give up a little more for a younger guy, a good younger guy like Zuccarello or Evander Kane, I assume he means. That, to me, to get in Evander Kane, the price there is through the roof. You're upsetting your entire plan. Zuccarello, I don't know, you tell me, what would have been the give there?
More, because he's got control, I believe. But I mean, if you want to talk about having issues with chemistry, and Evander Kane, you want to bring that guy in who's notoriously had issues in his career. So I like Nash over Kane.
Okay, so you tell me, Pete, and we'll jump off here in a couple of minutes as the Bruins get started. I'm going to see the debut of Rick Nash here coming up. Is he Krejci's right wing and that's it? And these lines now are set here for the run into the playoffs and that's it? Are there any lineup tweaks that you would like to see? What should the D look like as far as you're concerned?
I don't know. I think they got to figure out the Carlo situation. I mean, I think the quote was pockets of inconsistency. You'd like to see him figure it out, but as far as the forward lines, I would imagine that this is kind of it. Obviously, I think Gianta's gonna have a tough time cracking that lineup. Based on what I saw in South Korea, he didn't look good. So it's a depth move, whatever. I don't think that he's gonna have much of an impact down the stretch, but I hope that Nash sticks with Krejci and that they don't have to mess with that first line.
Well, I mean, if Gianta plays, something went wrong. That's all. Someone got hurt or someone fell off the table. Right? He should be your 14th forward, your 13th forward. If he plays, something went wrong. To me, what I sort of like, Pete, is now you have some flexibility on the right side with Nash and Backes. And if, Pasternak is someone who obviously incredibly skilled, but can be a little soft and can be a little sloppy. And I don't know, it gets to be one of those tough as nails, just sort of playoff situations where Pasternak is just not standing up to the physicality. Can move up Nash,
right?
Can move up Backes.
And you get offense, and you don't have to sacrifice on the defensive end either, because Nash is pretty solid two-way. So it gives them flexibility, gives them depth, gives them more options. I like it.
Okay, I don't think there's any question about it. All right, they're just about to drop the puck in Buffalo. We'll see the debut of Rick Nash. Pete, I want to thank you for joining us. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, guys, that's a special edition of Boston Sports Live. We're out, and we'll talk to you this week. Bye-bye.